Hello and welcome to The Download from Wise Woman and Wordsmith, where insight meets inspiration. A space for creatives, dreamers and visionaries ready to spark new ideas, ignite purpose and reimagine possibilities. Here we share downloads of wisdom, stories and strategies to help you thrive in your creative journey. I'm your host, Jill Marshall. Tune in, connect and let the magic unfold.
Joy tomorrow.
Welcome to the Download podcast and especially to the Friends season. This particular episode is not just about friends, but about books and friendship. In this case, a book that travels around the world, connecting friends in miraculous ways, a real world book friendship. The timing for this is not just a coincidence, it's actually a synchronous event in itself. For one, I've just seen the new World Book Day specials announced for next year. These great little £1 reads are a brilliant way to get kids reading for pleasure, introduced to new books and longer books and wonder books. It's associated with book parades and dress-ups and queues of kids clutching their £1 vouchers as they head into the bookstore. It's also a great time for the authors and illustrators of said books. I was lucky enough to have a specially written Jane Blonde mini-mission in the World Book Day listings back in the day, and the scale of the sales put my Spy Girl in the UK Times top 10 for all fiction. That was quite a moment, as was speaking with many young readers on many World Book Days over the years and events on many occasions. Another favourite tale of World Book Day comes from my sister, who was in teaching when one of these World Book Day events was happening in her high school. She was walking behind a couple of students who were heading to the hall for something exciting, as instructed, and were wondering what it might be. Perhaps one of them mused, it's the actual World Book. Now, I absolutely love the idea that World Book Day might be about one special world book. I wonder what that book would be, but that's perhaps for another story or a poll. But this particular world book is one that's particularly special to me, my friends and my family, and the family of my friends. It's an amazing connection that happened quite synchronistically, some might say miraculously, across the world and across time, and across a very wonderful, long-lasting friendship. And it's also about another children's author. We met when we were doing our master's degree in writing for children, which was at that stage the only one in the world and happened to be in the south of the UK where we could both meet and get to it easily. We made many friends there, including our special friend Jane and Mary, who was actually the host of another miraculous meeting. See, a couple of decades ago, when I first moved to New Zealand, I got a job in a children's bookshop as one of the ways to meet my visa requirements. And it was a lovely job in a beautiful shop that I very much enjoyed. I also enjoyed working with my fellow staff members, and one of them was telling me about the members of her friends and family who travelled around the UK. In fact, one of them was there at that very moment. A young genius in the making, on the way to Cambridge University and stopping off meanwhile at various friends along the way. Something rang a bell. I heard this tale and stopped for a moment and then asked her to describe him. And then I asked her to give me his name. And then I told her I'd met him at a party at Mary's house not a few months before. And this was quite incredible. There was absolutely nothing to connect the two of us before that. But somehow our worlds had collided from the UK to New Zealand in miraculous ways around books and people and mutual friends. But this particular episode is about Kelly McKain. Kelly and I were different ages and at quite different stages in our life when we first met doing that particular master's degree. And I think we probably circled each other with a little bit of suspicion to begin with. But very quickly, we discovered that we had the same drive and ambition to discover all we could about the world of children's writing and to take it to the next level. But not only that, we were both very much on a similar spiritual path and totally into the woo-woo. Kelly, who was travelling to get to the programme, needed somewhere to stay. She began to stay at my house. We would break out the tarot cards and the publishers' magazines and discuss the esoteric and the creative for hours into the night. She also, at that point, got to know my little daughter and my little dog very well. This was before the time that children had featured on Kelly's horizon, and my daughter and she developed a beautiful relationship, like special aunties or cousins, and they always had a special bond. And we then, all of us, had that special bond. As the years and then the decades passed by, we always spoke of a half generation. I was a little less than half a generation older than Kelly. My daughter's a little more than half a generation younger than her. And then when she had children, they were half a generation away as well. So it's been a very special relationship that has deepened and extended over a quarter of a century now. It's also a friendship between the two of us that has been marked by incredible serendipity, support, and deep intuitive knowing about the other. We can not talk for months, but suddenly insist on making a call at the exact moment the other needs us. We can be on different sides of the world for years and suddenly understand that our presence is needed elsewhere. In my book, The Two Miss Parsons, I listed a number of ways that people can be your friends, and it initiated a flurry of calls from all of my friends saying, well, which type am I? Well, Kelly is the type of friend who is always there when you need her, and to say that she's gone out of her way to help would be an understatement. Not once, but twice, she's found me somewhere to live. She's incredibly psychic and has channeled messages from various of my ancestors and has generally been a tour de force in all our lives for as long as we have known each other now. She's also been the forerunner of both our author careers. She was the first to get an agent. She was the first to get a publisher. She was the first to get her books published. She was the latest to get her books published. And she's been an inspiration and a guide and a supportive friend all the way through this journey of being a writer. From the days when we would pore over other people's books in bookshops and imagine the days when ours would also be on those shelves, to the random guerrilla tactics of turning each other's books front out whenever we came across them in a bookstore or library, to championing each other's books with screenwriters and producers and filmmakers, we've shared a remarkable journey in books that we could not foresee long ago as students finding out about this world of creative writing specifically for children. A phrase from one of my books even became the title of one of hers, and the readers of both our books have happily swapped from one of us to the other. And it's that interconnection of books and friendship that has led to this particular episode. Many years ago, Kelly began a series. I believe it was published with Scholastic UK to begin with, and it was about a fairy house. It was a beautiful production. It's beautifully written, obviously. It was a wonderful set of stories. I think from the start there were 12 planned, but as is the way with publishing, sometimes they don't get to the end of the series. And in this case, I believe 8 of the 12 were published. As often happens with authors, however, the writer wants to finish the story. So Kelly pressed on and found new, fascinating ways to complete the tale of the Fairy House series and many other titles over the years. So now, fast forward 24 years from our first meetings, from those first happy discussions in my home in Winchester, UK, with my daughter and my dog contributing to our shared lives, and then all of us contributing into their shared lives as Kelly's family grew as well. It's now 2025 in Auckland, New Zealand. My family are strolling round a second-hand book fair. My daughter's distracted for a moment. My grandson troops off with his stepdad to have a look at books that catch his eye. A beautiful blue hardback book emblazoned with a gorgeous fairy with actual material wings emerging from the front cover, and a twinkly font declaring the title stands out to him. The two of them pore over this book, which is called out to him from among the thousands there. And then, inspired, my grandson goes back to my daughter, book in hand. "Look," he says, "this fairy book is about a girl with your name. And the girl's mum in the book has the same name as Nana. Isn't that a coincidence?" And my daughter takes hold of that beautiful book and is able to tell her son, "No, that's not a coincidence. That girl is named after me. And that mum is named after Nana. And that author is our dear, dear friend, Kelly McKain, who you stayed with a few years ago. And this whole series has always been a connection between our families. And given that connection, it's a miracle, but not entirely unexpected, that this book would find its way into your hands on the other side of the planet in a totally different time. It gives me chills just to think about it. I don't know how the universe lines these things up, but somehow it does. And at that time, it prompted me to reach out to our friend at a time she most wanted to hear from me, as always happens, and it introduced the next half generation to the beautiful connection our families have had for so many years and in so many places. But it doesn't end there. There's a new twist, one that I didn't see coming at all as I pondered over this friendship season and started planning this episode just days ago. Remember those new and fascinating ways that Kelly found to continue and expand those wonderful stories? Well, she's found a staunch partner in a Japanese publisher where these books are very popular and inspirationally illustrated and continuing to find new readers and fans. And almost at the same moment as I started writing this episode, she made an announcement. Kelly was literally holding the 14th, yes, the 14th book in the series, The Storm Witch. We hadn't spoken about it, although I'd got the gist from a couple of quick WhatsApp images that something might be afoot, and we hadn't even told Kelly about the incredible book synchronicity at the second-hand book fair. But there was another pure sign of the way those books connect and embrace us around the world, often at the very time we need it most on a personal level, on a special and specific World Book Day. Now, on a professional level, we've always supported each other's careers. And not that she needs my help, but I'm thrilled to be able to give Kelly McKain's many wonderful books and series a bit of a plug and hope that you go out and discover them for yourselves. You might just discover a bit of our family friendship connection in there too. Meanwhile, please support World Book Day and help kids dive out of their devices and into an exciting read. You can also find links to the Jane Blonde mini-mish in the show notes. Happy reading, happy world friendships. Thanks for tuning in to the Download podcast. Feel free to like, comment and share and all of that good stuff. Also, I'd love to hear more about your own intuitive hits and downloads. So do find us on Facebook, YouTube and more.